Today I want to do a retro review on a game I guarantee you've never heard of. And I know sometimes when people talk about like hidden gems and old games, they're like, oh, no one's ever heard of this old game called Mario 3. But I'm willing to bet you've probably never heard of this game called Battle Bowl, and it was originally on the Game Boy, like the OG Game Boy, the old one. 1990 is when it came out. It's so old and obscure. Here's the Wikipedia page for it. I only need to put it up for about this long because that's it. It's one paragraph. Like it is so unknown. But it's such a cool old game, and I feel like probably one of the best puzzle games, honestly, really original and fun. So let's talk about it. The story might be longer than the Wikipedia page, and that's saying something. Basically, you play as a space person in a space bulldozer. Your job is to destroy all the aliens who are eating all of the gold, and you get that gold when you crush them. And that's the story. And what I love about it, even if it's a little silly and simple, is it comes from a time when games were meant to really just like pick up and play. Like you turn on your Game Boy, you watch 3 seconds of intro screens, and then you're just playing the game. You're just in it. You don't need to watch long cutscenes, you don't need to do anything special, you don't need to have any special knowledge, you just pick it up, turn it on, and start playing. So here's how the game works. You spawn into a level, and it looks like what you see on the screen here, and there are a bunch of blocks and a bunch of different kinds of enemies, and you have a target goal. So you have to destroy a certain amount of enemies in a certain amount of time. You usually get about 90 seconds, sometimes 100 seconds. You don't have very long, so you have to destroy a set amount of enemies in a short amount of time. And in the start, your only way to destroy them is by crushing them with blocks. So what that means is you have to kind of predict their movement and maneuver around them and hit them with the blocks and then push that block against them. That pushes against the enemy, against the wall like that, and then they're gone. To make it more complicated, as you see on the screen here, also there are different blocks with different arrows, which means they can only go in one direction, and if you hit them from a different direction, they go away. So there's a set amount of blocks you can use, there's a set amount of paths that the enemy can go on, and as you use blocks to become not usable, so you run low on like options. So it's a strategy game. It's officially classified like as an action game, but I put more like a puzzle game because you're trying to solve the puzzle of how do I maneuver around these enemies, how do I use these blocks in the best way possible, and in the shortest amount of time possible. Now there is later on in the game one of the upgrades you can get. You kind of saw that upgrade screen there. I'll pull it so you can see it here right now. So these are the upgrades. You can add a jump to your battle bowl, which allows you to jump. There's different engine upgrades you'll see make you move faster. You can upgrade your shovel, that allows you to push things faster and recover faster. And then there are weapons like the grenade launcher, the missile launcher, and the Vulcan launcher. Now that may not seem like a lot, and by today's standards that's certainly not a whole lot. However, keeping in mind this is a Game Boy game from the 1990s, having an upgrade screen at all is pretty impressive. But the upgrade I want to talk about is the weapons, because it does kind of cheapen the experience of the game. As soon as you get to like level, I want to say around 20, you should have enough money that allows you to buy the Vulcan cannon, which allows you, instead of jumping, to fire a cannon straight forward. As you upgrade that cannon, it can destroy blocks, and later it just goes through everything, basically destroys the entire map in a line. And that's where the game kind of goes from a puzzle game to a action shoot 'em up sort of game. You saw that dodge right there, right? That was pretty hot stuff right there where I jumped over that enemy. That's why you get the jump. And I think that the weapons kind of ruin the puzzly element, so I usually recommend avoid those, even though it's really good and helps with the puzzling aspect. I think the most fun is to stick with the jumps so that you can actually like push the blocks around and do the game as it was intended. And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's a really unique puzzle that I don't really see a lot of games like this. I'm sure saying that, about 1,000 of you will come in and say, no, there's a puzzle game exactly like this, and it's called this and this and this. But I really loved this game as a kid, so I just wanted a chance to share what it was with you all now. Now, unfortunately, with it being an old Game Boy game, the chances of you being able to play it are pretty low, since you would need to have the cartridge and a Game Boy. I just so happened to get the Game Boy Chromatic for Christmas, so I got a chance to stream the game directly from the console, which is really cool. I really wanted to show off that feature. It's really fun to be able to play some of these old games. Directly plugs right into your PC, so you can screen share it, it's pretty awesome. So it gave me a chance to really talk about this really actual hidden gem that I hadn't played in probably 30 years. One of the other things that makes the puzzles so hard is the enemies can push the blocks too, like you saw there. There are different enemy behaviors, and some enemies, because it's a limited Game Boy that has a limited amount of space for any sort of enemies, sprites, and things like that, they look a lot similar, so some enemies can push blocks, others can't. So you have to be really cautious around them, because sometimes you'll get jump scared like that and taken out because like, oh, that enemy looks like another enemy, but it has abilities that enemy doesn't have, and you just get absolutely wrecked like I did. One of the things I mentioned earlier is how I really appreciate it. It's just like a pick up and play game that you just turn it on and you're playing. And I don't want to be like one of those boomers like, oh, back in my day, games were games and they weren't so complicated. But I do like some of these old style games for the fact that there's not a lot bogging them down. They had very little to work with, and they still were able to create really fun games. Like the Game Boy, by any standards, even standards when it came out, was very, very limited, right? It only had a very small amount of memory. You could only have a certain amount of sprites, so there was a huge amount of limitations that they were working with, and they were still able to create multiple enemies, multiple sprites, really awesome music. I can't play it here because the Game Boy did not capture sound for whatever reason. I'll see if I can go get some more later, but they actually had to work with a lot of limitations, and they created something special out of that. And you don't see that as much with game creators today, where they have such great graphics, so many opportunities, that you get these unoptimized games that come out that take 150 gigs when they shouldn't take 150 gigs. And they can have all the music and sprite work and all these things that they want, but sometimes what you end up with is this mess of they don't know what they're doing because the scope is so huge. There's so much story and so much expositions and cutscenes to watch, and so many systems they keep adding on that you only use once or twice, and it kind of gets lost because there's no limitations, and so it just kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger and kind of implodes on itself. This game is so old and so limited, it doesn't even have a save system. It's one of those games where when you lose, you get a password to try and pick up where you left off, and that's just an incredibly awful system by anyone's standards today, right? No one wants to have to write down a password. Luckily, the passwords are literally 4 letters long, so you don't have as much chance of losing them, but I think we can all agree we are thankful we have moved past the era of passwords, and now you can just save your game whenever you want. Like, one of the features I loved about the DS when it first came out was the ability to just fold it closed and just suspend your game where it's at, because you can't do that here, right? You can pause the game and just let your thing sit there and drain batteries, but there's no way to play this game all the way through and pick it up later exactly where you left off. Like, you have to do it all in one sitting, and there are 49 levels, so good luck with that if you want to try to beat it all in one sitting. I think I played for about half an hour and I got to level, I want to say 25, maybe 30, so like you could probably sit down for an hour, hour and a half and do it, unless you get destroyed, and you get the game over and you have to start over from scratch. And of course, like every game from its era, it has a score system. I want to say that I have the highest score in the game, but I think it's literally impossible to validate that. Like, if you throw it in ChatGPT, you search on Reddit, you Google it, I can't find a single person who's posted their high score anywhere, so I'm sure that there is a world record somewhere, but I don't think it's ever been recorded. And of course, like these old games also, it caps out at 9999999 scores, so you can't go above that, so everyone would share kind of the world record on the score as well. But since there is nothing official, I think I can humble brag that as of right now, I have the world record for 2026, since I might be the only person who's ever played this game in 2026. So you are looking at a world record holder currently. And that's the game. This is what I wanted to show you. Again, it's very simple. It's from 1990s and Game Boy, so there's not a whole lot to it, but it's a really fun game. If you get a chance to play it, I highly encourage you to. It is truly a hidden gem that is locked on an old console. I don't believe it's ever been ported anywhere. I don't believe it's ever been a part of any collections. I don't think we'll ever see the light of day in any sequel, remake, or ports. I think it's just lost to time. I want one last chance to talk about it. So thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.